Hi-Fi Rush is one of the best examples of a 3D animated game trying to look 2D. And as some of you guys may know, that's kind of our specialty at Dylan Goose Studios. So as an animation director, I'm going to take you through these boss animations and break down why they're so good. And at the end, we'll figure out which one has the best animation. If you like watching a professional animator talk about your favorite animations, make sure to subscribe so you can watch the next one. But anyway, let's take a look. So this is the first boss in the game.
I like defense.
Yeah.
I like how they taste.
Dude, animation is so good. Okay. Take a look at this. So you can see that the jaw is like going diagonally outwards and then diagonally back inwards. This kind of stylization for a jaw movement, what it gives is like this really interesting kind of like ratchety look, which makes him feel like he's put together loosely or whatever, which is good. It's great. But it also plays really well into his accent. If it was like a normal like American voice, like I like defects, it wouldn't work with this particular animation. I like defects. Like that's such a more of like a jaw heavy kind of movement. So they actually played really well into this accent.
I like how they taste.
Taste. Like it's fantastic. Crazy how they just were able to get that loop around here. Just has that kind of like angular motion. That just makes it so much more charming. Like it's got a lot of character to the animation and it works with the English accent. It's amazing. Actually, I think this is Australian, right? Or is it Cockney? I can't tell. Is that bad?
Inspection level.
This is interesting. I wanted to point out the body here is moving on once. So every time I move a frame, the body's moving. But notice the jaw. The jaw stays still and then snaps and then stays still and then snaps. It's in limited frame rates for the mouth animation, but not for the body animation. I think it doesn't quite work as well as I would hope, but I do think they made the right call there just because if the body was in mixed frames, it would look very, very choppy. And I'm going to show you guys exactly why that is in just a second because I noticed it somewhere else. Take a look at Chai here. Do you guys notice that? The camera here is moving at 60 FPS, but he is actually moving on limited frames. So he's got this drift to him, but then he has this like pose to pose, like shifting. You see that? It's very interesting, actually. I do think it adds a lot, but because the camera moves so much, it becomes a little bit disorienting. I wonder if that's something that could be mitigated if, for example, they did stuff like they do in Spider-Verse, where they parent the character to the camera, which is a common technique where it allows people to look more 2D during like the in-betweens. It's a lot more difficult to do in a game engine, of course, but I did want to mention that as like a byproduct of like how mixed frame rates typically look, depending on if you parent to the camera or if you don't parent to the camera. Oh, he did.
You got a killer track. Fail. But every song's gotta end.
Yo, that's so good. God, what a great touch. Just completely switching to this 2D style gives them a lot of advantages. Like, for example, they can do this like hyper stylized effects here, but also like notice the damage that they have on this guy. It's super angular and like super accentuated. That wouldn't have been like as easy to do in 3D model. You don't have to rig any of this. You just draw it for one frame and it looks gorgeous and you add all these effects. God, I love this. That's so good. That's so good, dude. I kind of wish they would be able to like deform the face a little bit. This is like a small nitpick, but like if they could bring this eye out a little bit so it's more visible, it's like a way to like flatten the face a little bit. We do that in our stuff. Like you can see it in the recent talk that we gave at Blender Conference, but like this is fantastic already. It looks gorgeous and it's already super flexible as a rig. If you were able to get the eyeball just to like raise up a little bit so it's not covered by the nose, it would look even better. So QA1mil, he's an A. I'd say he's really, really good. He's not doing anything crazy though. And I do think like his animation's mostly restricted to his mouth. So it's great, but it's nothing like crazy. Is it Rekka or Reika?
Introducing.
Rekka it is.
You want to be successful? You want to be productive? Then you gotta be aggressive.
Dude, I don't understand. The shading on these characters is absolutely gorgeous. Like if I pause this at any moment, it legitimately looks like it could be 2D. Like it could be a comic book. Like look at this frame, guys. This is beautiful.
Punk like you.
Look at this cheek puff here. Such a small detail. Just adding that cheek puff right here for that puff sound, punk. It's such a small flare that shows how much they care about this. God, it's so good. Damn. The vein pop. Okay, let's talk about this real quick. Overall, her facial animation is beautiful. And one big reason why it's so good is because her mouth moves really freely. Like, look how much her mouth changes shape and size. It starts out like quite wide here. And then as you go to like just the other shape here, look how much shorter that is. It's not even that crazy of a difference, but also take a look at this. See how the mouth is not centered with the nose? Look at that. The mouth is offset. This offset very, very subtly removes the mouth from its physical position, which allows it to be exaggerated and and mentally feels a lot more fluid and like jelly-like, if that makes sense. So the face feels more fluid overall because the mouth moves around everywhere. Literally, you can see it in motion here. The mouth is here, and then it literally just like starts moving. Look at that. It's now, it's to the left of her nose now. Look how much that moves. That makes such a big difference. All right, let's see how she dies. Whoa! Did they rig her hair ups? That's so good. God, yes! That's so good, dude. I want to take a look at her hair real quick because this hair feels way more ragged. And I think like here they added a couple extra details. So it seems like they even replaced the hair model to look more unkempt for this particular part, which is awesome. Such great attention to detail. Rekka right now is an S. I think her mouth movement in particular and overall her really over-the-top personality perfectly complemented with the animation style. I can see nothing wrong with her. God, that's crazy. An S on the second one? Let's see who's next. Zanzo?
I wrecked everything you thought.
Dude, his design is crazy.
Crash course in better design.
Wait, what? Holy shit, that pose. Their decision to add these amazing poses for this guy and then accent it with a color change. They're absolutely trying to mimic this comic book style and they nailed it, especially with this guy. As a small thing, of course, did you notice that his hair actually goes super straight here and actually is accentuated by the action lines?
Well, while you've been dealing with my distractions.
This pose is just great. This is such a good natural finger pose. And it's because it keeps a really good silhouette here. You see that? The fingers are nice and separate except for like these two, which is fine. And then this has got such a great attitude where you have the index finger below the wrist. There's a lot of character in that. And like acting wise is a fantastic choice.
Something with unrestricted
Dude. Oh, guys, look at his jaw movement here. His jaw is gonna start going like this as he talks. Like it'll start swinging back and forth and he'll have like a slight lag time with his head. Take a look. Look how crazy that is, right? So this gives such a unhinged, literally unhinged kind of like characteristic to him, which is exactly what he needs to be because that's what he is. It's fascinating because like they're kind of going with the same kind of loosey mouth shape here, but in a way that's fitting to his character. So they're not just moving his mouth all around like they did with Rekka, which is fantastic. But for him, they're moving his jaw more, which like gives him a lot more of a loosey feel. Is that more of his hairs? Oh no, are they gonna connect? Oh God, oh jeez. Holy shit! That's amazing. The smooth transition too.
This is all because of you!
He's got a sword. The mouth. Oh shit. This is all on ones, and for good reason, because obviously it's like mimicking something that's usually only ever seen in live action. To be fair, I think generally speaking, slow motion should be on ones because it's like slow motion. Slow motion in twos can look a little jittery and a little slow. That being said, it can work, but this works fantastically. Yeah, the mouth rig on this is fantastic. Like just being able to do that is so good. What do I rate him? I'm gonna put him an S. He's at least an S. I feel like he could be an SS if we had a rank for SS, but I'm not 100% sold that we need to make one right now. Maybe if we make one later, we might put him there. We'll see. All right, who's next? Hey! Hey, she's cute. Sad days. Oh God, she's dead.
This isn't what it looks like.
Oh, what the? Holy shit. This is fantastic because she's got this hold here, which feels super like superhero-y. And this is basically a magical girl transformation. Let's be real, right? This pose, I'm actually not as impressed with compared to like the others. I really, really like the others. It's just not quite as strong. Damn, that's cool. This is a very, very small thing, but you'll notice that like as she goes down here, there's a certain point here where suddenly she is no longer falling at the same rate. So she covers like this amount of distance, right? So, like that's quite a bit of distance here. And then as she goes to the next frame, that's also quite a bit of distance. And then the next frame, it's actually like, it's only about this much if you actually track the, like the ponytail. And because of that, it feels like a little slow at the end.
So what does it look like?
I love her design. I love her accent. Her animation isn't actually particularly interesting. Let's take a look at what else she got. How did she die? Korska, no. Did he drop her? Oh my God. Oh, nice.
Her personal lift.
Dude, I love this so much. Oh my God. Dude, is the door gonna close in her face? I swear to God. Yes! This ending is just my favorite right now. Dude, this is such a great rig. So this cheek puff line is such a great choice because normally you would think that you would want to put the cheek puff here, which like would work fine as well, but they actually did a great job at reducing the line density here because this would make this way too busy. This gives the same idea, but it's on the opposite cheek. But it works really well because technically this implies that she's so squished that her shoulder's also squishing her, which is fantastic. So they opted to leave this more empty, which I think was a great idea. Just everything about this is so good. Corsica, you got a very solid A. Like I was actually originally going to give Corsica a B just because there wasn't anything super impressive about the first half, but the second half was just way too good. Maybe it's a directing thing, but I just love the poses that they did for her at the end. It was just hilarious. Who's next? What is this? Is this a reference to Left Shark?
Wait for your cue, Shark. Give us your Spectra password. You.
See, what a great use of the mouth movement again. She's even more exaggerated than Rekka. So this is fantastic, especially because she's actually like supposed to be whispering. She's kind of talking out of the side of her mouth. They even added a little line here. Such a great attention to detail. And so they're just completely moving her mouth to the side here, which is like such a great creative choice here. And over here, you move it to the other side. Now it's over here on the right. She's moving left and right a lot more than I feel like Rekka did, which is more characteristic to her.
You.
Right there, like you see that? Look how far away that mouth is from where it's supposed to be, right? Like it should be here, right? We all know that. It's not, it's over here. Mouth placement makes a big difference on like personality and like emphasis and stuff like that in a lot of like 2D animation styles. This is no different, right? Because it's mimicking that. It's gorgeous. And they're able to get this because their mouth rigs are so flexible. Huge props to the team.
Now hit it.
Whoa! That's a cool design. It's a little hard to make out what's going on here. And so the transition to this frame and then thusly like this frame is a little bit lost. Like I wish it was a little bit more clear, but it's hard because the design is like this and like it's so close to camera. It just kind of is what it is. I think this is one of the instances where it suffers a little bit from the limited frame rate. So it moves forward one frame and then it moves backwards a couple frames because the camera is moving and the pose is not. So here it's moving backwards and here it's moving forwards and then here it's moving backwards. So it's constantly going against its own momentum, which doesn't lead to a very good anticipation. So that is a little tough. It's one of the instances where it's like it's really working against them here with the 60 FPS camera when you do these holds like this. Okay. Let's take a look at how she dies. Hang on. Whoa! Why does this feel so good? It's the camera shake. The camera shake works really, really well and together with the limited frame rate. Like normally the 60 FPS camera, I feel like takes away from the limited frame rate, but because here the camera shake allows the 60 FPS kind of like nature of the camera to kind of be masked a little bit and it blends in that noise into the movement of the animation in a really natural way. So this particular shot feels gorgeous. Look how many extra lines they've drawn here. I don't know exactly how they achieve this, but it's fantastic. I assume it's like extra meshes and stuff inside of the head that they pull out when they need it, especially like under the eye there. Like in a game engine especially, it's a lot more difficult to achieve. Like we do it with grease pencil and stuff, but you can't do that in a game engine. So it's really, really cool how they've done that because it adds so much to this character. And because the face is like almost completely flat shaded, it gives the freedom to just add these shadows and add these lines whenever they want. Assuming that they put them in the rig, of course, which is probably what happened. I'm guessing they probably have a bone for each one of these lines, which is fantastic. Public execution. Whoa, that's such a cool guitar. Holy shit. He just murdered her. All right, where do I put her? I feel like she's fantastic. I really, really like her. And I'm almost wondering if there even will be a B tier. I feel like realistically, she's not as good as Corsica. We have to be fair now. I think QA1 mil is probably B. Just compared to the rest, he's just not as good. And we're gonna have to normalize these a little bit. Maybe I'll put her in a B for that. I feel like this guy's not as good. Is QA1 mil a C? I don't think so. He's fantastic. But like, he also doesn't do anything crazy. So I feel like C is like still pretty solid. C for solid. Just, you know what I'm saying? Who's next? What do we got? Whoa, this expression sold me immediately on his character. He does something really subtle here. His beard gets slightly wider. So they're slightly squashing his face here just so they can lift his smile here. It's such a subtle thing, but damn, does that make his face feel so fluid. It's actually amazing. Dude, I already love his animation. Holy shit. They did an amazing job of squash and stretch here. Look at that. So this right here, the decision to make his arms come up so high and then down again really adds a lot to this. And I'm pretty sure that they have a little bit of stretch on his torso here. Not too much, but just very subtly. Because it's shorter here and then it looks a little bit longer here and then it goes back to normal size here. Seems a lot shorter there. And then look at how they have his like little, I'll call them ears for now. His ears also have like some follow through here. So good. Just so fluid. I love it. Dude. God, this is so good. God, this whole transformation sequence is so good. I also really like this. His eyes just getting wider at the last second. It's such a great menacing look. What a great choice. Dude, this is so good.
Get the tail?
Dude, this is so good. The ability to lip sync on this guy is really cool. So they were able to get like the mouth to actually close and form like that O shape. It's something that people do with like talking wolves all the time. They chose to do it despite the fact that his face is made of metal. So creatively, I think they made the right call. This is fantastic. And there's something interesting here about his talking. Notice how when he says me, his face stretches upwards. His jaw pulls down a little bit. His eyes open up a little bit. I'm pretty sure his forehead goes up a little bit. His whole face is accentuating his eye open. So it's almost as if his whole face is his eye, which is such a great way to exaggerate the movement. Bro, okay. I love Roquefort. Holy shit. Let's skip to the end. Whoa. God, the transformation's so cool.
And cash my check by taking you out!
Quarter 3 earnings delivered. Please watch out for falling profits.
That's so good. All right, where does he go? Hang on, we have to do this. Zanzo should be SS. And if he's SS, Roquefort's also SS. His is more subtle. Like, he's SS because his creativity is fantastic. Roquefort is like solid. You know what I mean? So like his animations are just like so well exaggerated in such a subtle way that I fell in love with him immediately on the first pose. That's actually crazy. It's Kale, the final boss. Let's go. Whoa. Did he just take off his clothes to reclothe himself?
I'm proud to be a member of the Vandalay family.
Interesting.
I
Interesting.
would never say that.
Yeah, well, that's the point. I'm controlling you. You think I can't deal with a cat?
Whoa. His face doesn't move that much, and I'm starting to think it's a really, really conscious creative decision. So I want you guys to pay attention to his upper lip. The stiffness here is because his upper lip doesn't move. And it's partially because he doesn't really have an upper lip, to be fair, and he has a really big lower lip. And the upper lip does move a little bit, but the shape of the upper lip doesn't seem to change very much throughout all the talking. But you'll notice also, like, during this section, like, his face doesn't actually move that much. So, like, for example, his jaw is completely stiff. It doesn't open at all. It doesn't change direction. It just, like, stays there. Like, take a look at this, right? Every time his mouth opens, his jaw is not moving, not even a little bit. And typically for like a rig that has a jaw as part of it, the jaw almost has to open as a requirement. Look at me now, right? Ba, 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 ba. My jaw has to open in order for me to talk. They do move the chin a lot in every other character. So the fact that they're not moving the chin here specifically feels like it has to be a conscious choice. I gotta say, guys, I'm not actually that impressed yet. Kale's kind of like mid.
Give us the password.
Never.
Oh, now that was a good facial animation.
You're just a bunch of losers.
Hang on, it's suddenly so good. Suddenly it feels so good because the jaw is moving like crazy. That makes all the difference. I think it was a creative decision, but I do feel like they kind of went back on it at the end to like get a bit more expression out of him for like the final fight. But I do kind of wish they had that for the beginning too. They could have just done it more subtly. They didn't have to do it as much, but I wish they didn't take it out completely because I kind of like the jaw movement. It feels really, really good. Yeah, let's go. I think he's great, but like, I kind of wish he was a little better. It's probably the only one that I feel like had something that was kind of like an issue throughout the whole thing. I wish he had more jaw movement for like a significant portion of it because the animation that he had at the very end was gorgeous and I really, really liked it. If they had applied that to the rest of it, I would have been much more impressed with how he moved in general. Hang on, guys. I have to choose a favorite, don't I? Oh, this is tough, actually. Between Roquefort and Zanzo, man, I love them both. They're so good. Do I just give it to the guy with green hair? Is that biased? No, Zanzo it is. Hey. Only because he had so many more over-the-top moments that I feel like pushed it to a point where like you could go max creative with it, which I love. Let me know if you guys agree with that decision. I'm so excited for the day that someone else makes a game just as good as this one in terms of its animation style and its rendering style. It's amazing. We need more games like this. If you enjoyed watching me break down and rank the animations, why not subscribe and watch me do Guilty Gear next? In the meantime, why not check out this video?